What's up, everyone? Back for another episode on That's a Tap with DJ and CT. DJ, I love the outfit, man. Fresh off Abu Dhabi. We're going to
Fresh
recap
off
the
Abu Dhabi.
big one.
Absolutely, bro. Like this was the card that I was waiting for. Yas Island was fantastic. Etihad Arena. Enjoyed the fights. Here we are. Uh, Man, crazy. I was telling you all along. This is the best card of the year. On paper, I don't know if it'll deliver, but on paper, man, there's nothing that beats this card. And I feel the card lived up to its expectation. It was a crazy card. There were six undefeated fighters. A lot of drama, a little bit of heartbreak for us down under. I know a little bit, man. A lot of heartbreak. I was I was quite devastated with that Corey main event. Main event, man, was nuts. It was crazy. Kept you on your toes. A lot of clarity I felt coming out of this card now in terms of what's next as well. I feel there's been usually we come out of cards thinking, okay, well, there's multiple options, but in this instance, in most of the cases, there's this clarity, especially in that main event or the top three fights. Um, yeah, man, let's get into it. Let's get into it. How did you? Obviously, I've got the outfit to commemorate the Abu Dhabi card, but I wasn't there in person. I watched it on television, like yourself, CT. But how did you find the card?
Man, it was exciting, entertaining. The main event is obviously what I wanted to see the most. But yeah, Whittaker obviously didn't go the way a lot of us would have hoped. But look, you got to tip your cap to Hamza Chimaev. Brutal way to finish it. Long layoff, but yeah, what rust. He showed that he's ready for a chance. And look, we'll talk about that more. But the main event, DJ, I think was exciting. Seeing
Yeah,
Max, take it to Topuria, but Topuria just reigned supreme. Got
yeah,
the KO, first man to ever
yeah.
knock out Max. I mean, it was just box office. How did you see it?
Fucking absolute fireworks, man. Like, I mean, watching the fight live, I was nervous. Obviously, the walkout. Like, I mean, I'm coming off of a heartbreak, right? I'm like still devastated with what happened in the co-main event, and then you just hardly have any time to process that, and you get the walkouts of the legend Max Holloway's walking out, and then obviously you got Ilya Topuria, the champ, coming out as well. Crazy fight. I thought the first two rounds were a lot closer than the scorecard suggested. So apparently upon checking the scorecards, the judges had Topuria up two going into that third round, which I have no problem with. They were close rounds, and let's not forget, Topuria got that tremendous takedown in that first round. However, I did think that Max Holloway was extremely good in terms of evading punches. He did take a few straight strikes from Topuria in the first two rounds, man, and he rolled with it, and he just in the pocket exchanging. He was landing some very good shots himself. Topuria was investing very well in those leg kicks as well. It did seem like Max was unfazed by it, but maybe it started adding up in that, and that's probably another reason why that third it was like a good investment in those first two rounds. Um, but man, like the first two rounds, at the end of the second round, I recall thinking to myself, hey, look, it's not that bad in a sense where Max Holloway can take Topuria's shots. That maybe is an indication that maybe this fight does go the distance because as the fight progresses, you're definitely going to get fatigued. Man, with Ilya Topuria, I thought, okay, well, your strongest punches are going to be in your strongest strikes are going to be in those first few rounds, the first round especially, and Max took a couple of them flush and was still standing. So yeah, I wasn't anticipating a finish. I was extremely impressed with Ilya Topuria, and we've said this time and time again, man. And I'm a fan of both guys. Obviously, if someone's not a fan of Max Holloway, it's really confusing uh, because he's such a great guy, but also a great fighter. So, but Ilya Topuria, man, on the other hand, he's just the skill set is unmatched. Arguably one of the best fighters in the UFC roster currently, without a doubt. Even before the last fight happened, I've reposted so many of his trainings on my personal social media handle because of how impressive and how good it is. Clean striker, and he came into the UFC as a grappler, and he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Think of that, and then he's got a Greco-Roman wrestling background, and so his ground game is extremely good. But then he's knocking people out. He's knocking strikers out. He's not just knocking wrestlers out. He's knocking. Max Holloway has never been knocked down. You said it perfectly. He's never been knocked down. Even though that momentum mandatory visit to the canvas during the Justin Gaethje fight was there. It was just this was the first time we saw Max Holloway in that state, in that situation, and the setups, man, and the strikes, the technicality of how Ilya Topuria executes his game plan is unmatched. No, and then it very much reminds Topuria. Obviously, I know the comparisons are there, and there's been a lot of chatter about it that he's trying to replicate McGregor. Having said that, though, you can't help but be impressed because yes, maybe there are instances like grabbing the belt and all these kind of things. However, you also can't be not impressed with the fact that he's also replicating McGregor in backing up his predictions, backing up. He's sort of like his manifestation, you could say. He did say, I'll put Max's lights out. And I remember thinking, I mean, like, surely not. Like, I mean, yeah, does he have a chance to win? Absolutely. I actually was leaning towards him before the fight to get the win, get the job done. And but like I never thought that he was going to knock Max Holloway out because so many people have tried. But it was also his stuff that he was saying before the Alex Volkanovski fight. I remember like we were all laughing about it. Like surely not. Like because Alex was like top in the top 3 pound for pound at the time, and he had like fought the likes of Islam Makhachev. I was like, surely not. And then, this guy is extremely good, man. He's only getting better and he's committed to his craft. And that's just the best part of it. I think with McGregor, what we saw was that meteoric rise and, all that spectacle. But then once the pinnacle was reached, I guess, like we sort of didn't see much of him after that. Whereas I think with Topuria, he's definitely reaching that. I feel like he's a star already. All of Europe's behind him, man. Like, you got football stars or soccer, whatever you guys call it, soccer stars like supporting him, walking him out and stuff, man. Like, that's just a star. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for him to do that, that's just impressive, man. I'm super impressed.
Yeah, yeah, likewise. But I got a question for you.
Ooh,
Early in the fight, I mean, straight away, Topuria points, let's
yeah,
go right here,
yeah,
and Max shied away. Did that
yeah.
tell? Was that a preview of Max being like, oh, like maybe I don't want to go there? How did you see that?
There's many ways to look at it, man. Like I think, yeah, look, it does put a little bit of a stain on like that BMF sort of title, I would say. Like he said, "I'll point to the ground, come indulge me at the first 10 seconds," but it also is a game plan, right? Ilya Topuria he believes in his strength, in the force of his punch, which he should, rightfully so, man. He's putting people's lights out. On the other hand, that is also an easy way to catch Max Holloway as well. Like, he feels okay. Well, if he does indulge, I have 10 seconds to try and land something flush, which means that he goes down. And Max understands that too. And at the end of the day, this is a mixed martial arts fight, which you're not only fighting with your hands and legs, but also your brain as well. Like fight IQ comes into play, and obviously Max Holloway understands that. Alex Volkanovski put that beautifully in his preview. Is that that's something that Ilya Topuria, it's actually a game plan. He wants to try and catch Max, and Max Holloway is the lengthier fighter, so to get inside, and look, it doesn't make sense because he did land his shot, he did find a way in through that reach, but it was easier. It would have been easier, say, if he indulged, they stand in the middle and fight. That's one. It's sort of like he just then wave the flag sort of a gesture, which Max Holloway did, like the matador to say, "You come at me." Um, Either way, man, like, but Max Holloway didn't shy away from sort of standing and striking with Topuria. That was evident. Even when he got hurt in that third round, he could have just circled around a little bit more. I felt, just clear those cobwebs, but he just went right back into action. Probably cost him that. It was a close fight, man. Like it wasn't like a runaway victory or a one sided beatdown by Ilya, but Ilya is extremely good. Also, to further talk about that pointing to the center of the octagon, it's sort of like Max did say, "Look, I'm not going to indulge." If he says in the first 10 seconds, I think the reason why that's so iconic, one, because it is one of Max Holloway's signature moves, but also, you know, if you look at the circumstances of how that happened in the last fight with Justin Gaethje, it was like a hard fight, yet which Max Holloway was clearly winning, and in that last 10 seconds, it's a culmination of try and knock me out. There you go, you got a chance. I'm winning, but here you go. It kind of adds more to it than as opposed to like what are you trying to achieve in that first 10 seconds. Obviously it's clear what Ilya Topuria is trying to achieve, but what do you gain out of that first 10 seconds? Standing and banging. So yeah, like it doesn't change my opinion on Max Holloway because he didn't indulge. But yeah, look, I can see how there could be a sort of a question mark of like, okay, well, the BMF didn't want to step in and stand for 10 seconds with the Matador, but it is what it is, man. Like, eventually, we did get to see a really good fight for however long it lasted, and up until the point that Max Holloway was wobbled, you just couldn't tell who was winning, and I thought like. Ilya Topuria, I don't know if you noticed this, CD, but like Ilya Topuria was wearing some damage on his face too. Like Max's jab was on point.
Yeah, yeah, great point, DJ. And as we'll talk about what happened after the fight, when Volk came in the cage and what's
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Max was doing well. I
Mhm.
still felt like there was openings though. He was vulnerable. I still
Mm.
felt like Topuria was gonna cause more damage. Maybe not
Yeah,
get a knockout or a
yeah,
knockdown. I was still in shock for that because
yeah, yeah.
I'd never really seen that happen, DJ. But look, Volkanovski, entered the cage, and
He's
obviously
back.
Topuria recognized him as a champion, former
Yeah.
champion, what he's done in
Hmm.
defending his belt so many times, and graciously offered him the next one. How did that
Yeah.
make you feel?
Yeah, man. I was surprised that he Topuria acknowledged that. I think there's been mutual respect. I mean, look. Let me say this: Topuria is one of those people who I don't know how he does it, but he can be extremely respectful and be disrespectful at the same time, right? Like, I mean, the way he sort of carries himself, and but at the same time, the level of respect he shows, but also some of the things he says. Even with this Alex Volkanovski thing, later on, like we're hearing like him saying like, "Oh yeah, but he has to wait. Like, I'll decide the place and everything." Um, but then also like he does acknowledge the great work that Alex Volkanovski has done, and it was good to see that. A little bit, you can't help but feel bad for Diego Lopez, who's done some good work too. Just beat Brian Ortega, then stepped up and was the backup fighter for this fight. It seems like he might now be looking at getting another fight because obviously he's not going to wait that long to get his title shot. So probably will fight someone else in the meantime. Everyone's usually, I mean, it's very rare that you get to see this post a card. That's why I said there's a little bit more clarity with some of these fights. Um, yeah, the champ acknowledges it. Obviously, Alex Volkanovski is down for it, and then Dana White said, "Yep, that's what we're going to make because there's one guy who deserves to call his shot, probably Alex Volkanovski for everything he's done for us, so we'll give him that." I don't think it'll be in Sydney. In all honesty, I don't think Topuria will do that. He's obviously very keen on delivering that Spain card, so it'll be in Spain, I'm pretty sure, or somewhere in Europe. But it seems like I am confident it's going to be Alex Volkanovski. Um, yeah, man, it was good. A good show of respect. I'm not like a big fan of people coming into the cage straight after a fight because there's a lot that's going on, right? You have the person who won, who's obviously going through a huge wave of emotions. Then you got the person who's lost, who's in there too, especially in these main events, right? Like there's kind of like it's a bit disrespectful for them too. And I don't think probably no one told Alex Volkanovski was going to go in. I feel because he also didn't have anything planned. It seemed like, but he was very respectful, man. This is why we all love Alex Volkanovski. He was extremely respectful. He didn't even come into the cage. He just stood near the door until he was invited by Topuria, and then even then he just came in, just said like, "Yeah, let's do it again. Congrats, well done," and then congratulates his family and just steps out. Take your moment, and I think that and like this graphic suggests. So yeah, like that's it. So but good fight, man. It'll be a tough fight. Now we can say this, right? Like if anyone was denying Ilya Topuria, but now probably is the time to stop because this guy is legit. We always ask that who's the best in every division. We have this is a topic of debate, right? Who's the best lightweight? Who's the best featherweight? Who's the if you look at like yes, you've got the Aldos, the massive reign, the special thing that Conor McGregor did in that division, you know, what Max Holloway did as a champ, and you got Alex Volkanovski who absolutely dominated that division and unprecedented title defenses. And now you got Ilya Topuria, who's actually knocked out two of the great. If there was an argument in the modern era. There was an argument that it was between Max Holloway and Alex Volkanovski, and you can obviously definitely add uh, uh, Aldo into that conversation too. But let's not forget both Alex Volkanovski and Max Holloway had defeated Aldo prior to that. So it was that conversation was between those two. Now we've got Topuria who's actually knocked out, not just beat, knocked out both these legends in the same year, man. Same year. Let's not forget that. Like, let's not forget that. So the same year, in my opinion, man, like this guy is up there. It was one of my favorite fighters to watch, even before he became popular. I remember seeing some of his earlier fights, and I was always impressed. And it was someone who had like solid sound technique, very good to. Some fighters are really good to look at when they fight, and then he's one of those guys. And he's got the charisma, he's got the skills on the mic. He looks the part, man. It's just very rare you get someone like this, and yeah, there you go. I'm a bit disappointed they don't have the BMF title on the line, though. What do you think, CD?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably going to come because he's
Hmm.
definitely a guy. I feel like he is, in that category of a BMF now. I mean, like you said,
Yeah,
knocking out two
yeah,
legends, not just
yep,
great fighters, but legends in their prime. And
yeah,
look, Max looks like he's going to move up to 155. But yeah, Volk definitely deserves that shot again for me because,
yeah,
uh, like
100%.
just what you said about Topuria respecting the player that gave him his
Mm,
shot. There's
yeah,
something to be said about that. You respect the
100%.
person who first gave you your shot, and and you won the belt, so you repay the favor. But also, he probably part of me feels like he can just knock Volkanovski out again.
Yep,
He's
yeah.
not worried about him at all. So look forward to that storyline moving forward. Obviously, we move
Hey,
on from this card. Yeah,
before we move on from the main card, main event. Sorry, I have this question. This was Dana White was asked this question in the post fight presser. So I'm going to ask you this question. So we've now have Ali Topuria who's knocked out Alex Volkanovski and Max Holloway in the same calendar year. We have, on the other hand, Alex the Portan Pereira, who's obliterated his opposition, in a variety of fights and short notice call ups, like when he fought Yuri for the second time, Jamal Hill, and then obviously we've got the Roundtree, like one of the fight of the year contenders there as well. So, in your opinion, I feel like they're the two who are above the rest. To be honest, in your opinion, who is the fighter of the year? With obviously we got 2 months more to go, but I don't think, yeah, like anyone fighting in those next two cards will have the sort of the accolades that these two guys have so far accumulated. So, what do you think? Do you think it's El Matador or Portan? Who do you think is the fighter of the year, in your opinion? We're not going to come at you
and
for what you say.
yeah, I love that question, and I feel like it's tougher than some people might think because the easy answer for me initially is to say Alex Potan
Yeah,
Pereira for being just dominant and taking
yeah,
down amazing opponents and just the
yeah,
way he's done it, stone cold killer. But
yeah.
then we just talked about a stone cold killer, like you said, who just
Hmm.
knocked out two
Yeah,
legends.
yeah,
It's close, but yeah, I'm gonna still probably lean towards Alex
yeah,
Pereira as the fighter
yeah,
of the year. I think he's clearly the face of the UFC now,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you know, the baddest man on the planet, in my opinion, right? The light
yeah.
heavyweight, whichever combat sports it is, the heavyweight person is usually the baddest man on the planet for me,
Yeah.
right? Used to be Francis Ngannou when he was with the UFC. Obviously, John Jones has things to say about that, but
Yeah.
Alex Pereira for me. How do you read that question first?
Man, I look at it as like it's easy to be recency biased, right? But in this instance, there is a valid argument, even though this happened yesterday. We can both agree, and I'm pretty sure majority of combat sport fans, if not all of them, would agree that Alex Volkanovski and Max Holloway are two of the greatest opponents. Sorry, two of the greatest fighters ever. And at the time, and Ilya Topuria has fought them in their prime. Alex, obviously, yes, he was coming off that knockout. Don't forget there was a short notice call up against Islam Makhachev, which we all hate that he took it. But outside of that fight, he was ranked number one in majority of that year. Had that crazy fight of the year fight with Islam at the start of the year in Perth. So the quality of fighter that Ilya took on in February was top level, And same with Max Holloway, man. Max Holloway's coming after knocking out Justin Gage, although it's in a different division. We also can agree that Max Holloway has been outside of Alex Volkanovski. He's been handling business rather easily with all the other up and comers and fighters. So to not just finish them, not just win the fight, but to knock them out is no easy feat. Right? I mean, in comparison, the strength of opposition has been a lot higher. Even though Alex Perez had one extra opponent, the strength of opponents has been a lot stronger in terms of the El Matador's case. Having said that, you got to look at the circumstances surrounding Alex Pereira's fights as well. Like, he said yes to every single thing. He headlined UFC 300. He headlined International Fight Week on short notice. He was in Australia, got called up, packed his bags, went and knocked out Yuri Prohashka. It's not easy feat. We saw how good Khalil Roundtree is. We saw his ability to come back from adversity, switch up, his fight IQ. We were thinking it was just like a one punch, one trick pony with a strong, hook. Um, it wasn't the case. He adapted and sort of, that fourth round against Khalil Roundtree, even before the knockout, man, that's legendary. It's just like Florida State. You watch it, you're just in awe. Just like El Matador's work, it's just beautiful to watch. In my opinion, I am with you. I still think Alex Pereira is fighter of the year for this year because he saved so many cards, man. He saved cards and he came in with injuries. He came in with no complaints, man. Like I still remember seeing that footage of him accepting the fight with Yuri. He was in a car. Someone calls him and he goes, "Charma or no charma?" Yeah, cool, done. Do you know what I mean? That's just BMF in my opinion. Plus also yeah. Man, let me put it this way. If anything, maybe give them both Fighter of the Year. There you go. They both deserve it in their own way, right? So it's just good. And to see, even for Ilya Topuria, to be relatively unknown, same time last year, uh, not relatively unknown, but not no one thought he would be this. Everyone thought, okay, we'll find. He's just another contender, right? To now, just being able to do what he's doing is impressive. So yeah, yeah, and I just thought I'll ask you that question because I did find it because as the question was getting asked by Dane, I started thinking myself, "Oh, that's a tough one." And the fact that we can still talk to Alex's, uh, skills and what he's done this year after having witnessed what we witnessed yesterday, I think that just speaks to the impact he's had on MMA and all of us fans. So yeah, Alex Botan Pereira, in my opinion, just slightly just
Yeah,
past Ilya El
yeah,
Matador.
yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad you asked, and yeah, it really gave me some thing to think about in terms of just the UFC, and we're grateful to have two fighters like this in their prime, and it's just been box office, and yeah, it's going to be a lot more matchups to come as we cover it, and I look forward to it. But yeah, the event had a co-main, right, and it was a downer of the night for us Aussies, obviously, and look, Rob Whittaker has fans all over the world, but Hamza Chimaev. There were so many questions, DJ, coming into this, right? Is he on the same level still with Rob being so active, and winning and so sharp recently, and Hamza illness and issues making weight, this during this event, let alone previous events. And so, how impressive was it for you for Hamza, and how disappointing was it for Whittaker?
Man, there's a reason why I'm wearing shades because I cried so much. My eyes are red and swollen. So, I just don't want anyone to see that. Man, I was, first of all, let me just give my thoughts on sort of how I felt during and after the fight. And then I'll just answer your question about my thoughts on Amsat Chimaev. Um, I think obviously every time Rob Whittaker fights, being a massive fan of Rob Whittaker and CT, me and you, we've been side by side in an arena when he fought and he lost that title to Israel Adesanya the first time at Marvel Stadium. We were watching not in the same room but together when he lost to Drix Duplessis, and we know the feeling. It's not fun, because we're such diehard fans and such a great guy, and such a great ambassador for the sports and extremely talented. Uh, it is just devastating to see someone go like that. And then to see them now sort of face a lot more adversity than what they're used to. So yeah, as a fight started, I was nervous. I knew the shot was imminent, the shot was coming, and it came. And I was surprised that how easily Whittaker got taken down. In my opinion, I was up. We spoke about this off screen. We couldn't do a preview, but we spoke about this off screen, and we said, I remember talking about it and saying, "Hey, it's not an easy fight, man. Like it says, like Whittaker saying, you asked for it. It's not an easy fight at all. Hamzat may not have been active, and he may not have faced the level of opponents such as Whittaker. Obviously, he faced Kamaru Usman. This makes Kamaru Usman's fight even more impressive, man. Like 10 days notice to do what he did, but just Rob Whittaker is the real deal, and like if you need to be special to be get past Rob Whittaker, and man, like we saw what Hamzat did. I mean, I was thinking it will go past the first round. I was expecting it to. I was expecting Rob to give Hamzat his toughest fight, even if he were to win. Because I had this fight 50-50, to be honest. Like maybe slightly favoring Rob Whittaker before it all happened, leading up to the fight in that fight week. And then, this happened, and then the weight cut. Like he wasn't making weight. He was the last person to jump on the scales. And we're like, here we go. Like, man, like, look, I always liked Hamzat and his fighting style. It's exciting, man. Like, not many people can have that style of fighting and keep it as exciting. He's an exciting fighter to watch. He's exciting outside of the cage as well. So he's like one of those, superstars again. He's been a superstar in the making for a long time. It's just a lot of things have not been on his side, right? Here's the thing. This is coming from a Rob Whittaker fan, right? If you don't, if you didn't believe in Hamzat so far, now's the time to stop and change that, because this guy is special, man. And here's a prediction from me: 2025 middleweight champion of the world will be Hamzat Chimaev, 100%, without a doubt. Man, this guy is special. Whatever it is, yes, the part of the choke, the reason Rob tapped so quick, we know why now, because the teeth got pushed and his forearm was right under his upper lip, and then his teeth got pushed in, and Whittaker said like there were impending issues with his teeth previously, and then he just was unattended to, and that obviously played a part too. But regardless, man, like he did control Whittaker on the ground. Like you cannot deny that, right? When once he took him down, Whittaker did well to obviously sort of evade threat, but that threat was always there. Like for the duration of that fight, I did not at any point feel like Whittaker's going to now get up and get away from the cage. I just always felt, oh damn, here it comes. It's going to come any moment. Any moment he's going to and he did. Like in a weird way, I just wasn't surprised. Like maybe it's that aura of Hamzat Chimaev. But man, like kudos to him, man. Like he was not intimidated. He did not care. He's fighting, and we saw how much respect he has for Rob Whittaker even after the fight, right? But in that moment, the bell rang. Man, he was out the gates. Rob Whittaker was a bit different to what we usually see. He usually meets them in the middle, but he seemed a little bit subdued. Maybe that was a game plan. Maybe there was some hesitation given the threat that's coming towards you. And when you have someone as strong as Hamzat, who's that with a constant threat of getting taken down, your game plan sort of gets to get jumbled up a bit. And you could see Whittaker employ a wider stance than he normally would, which is common, like in terms of sort of being able to stuff a takedown. Having said that, again, the shot was perfect, man. Like I was just a bit disappointed that Rob found himself, near the cage again. Like a sort of where he gets people get taken down a lot. Plus, also Hamzat's done most of his best work near the cage, right? But yeah, it is what it is, man. Like as much as I would say, yep, the injury played a part in the submission. Maybe it wouldn't have been as quick. You cannot deny Hamzat Chimaev. He is as good as they say he is, if not even better. And he keeps getting better. He's extremely strong. We can see that, right? For the teeth to go in, you still have to be strong enough to choke someone. It wasn't even under. The arm wasn't even under, so it speaks volumes of his strength. It's an interesting matchup, man. I want to see that next. I feel like Dana wants to. I think everyone's going to want to see that. We want to see Hamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis. That's the fight to make. I know that kind of
Yeah.
hampers Strickland's game plan. Don't know if he'd want to take another fight in between, but I'll wait for the winner of that. But man, like I can't think of anyone who could be able to stop this guy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if before this fight, if someone had asked me like anyone in the middleweight division who could sort of give some form of threat to Hamza, I would have said Rob Whittaker. Do you
Well,
know what I mean? Who's well rounded? Yeah.
yeah, but here's the key factor. We kind of know how to beat Hamzat. It's just someone's got to be able to do it, DJ. And
They have
how
to
that
get out of
is
the first
is to
round.
survive the first round.
Yeah.
Take him to deep waters after he's already taken you to deep waters. Um, but look, here's my thoughts on how it went down. Right, I was super confident that Rob would get the win
Yeah,
and execute a great game plan. You know, probably
yeah,
prolong the fight. You know, I wasn't.
yeah,
I'm not kind of too optimistic where Rob's going to come in and finish Hamzat early, but
yeah, yeah,
what I felt was Rob would stretch it out.
yeah,
But
yeah. That's the same.
as the walkouts were happening, I noticed Rob a lot more animated. You know, like he was like more. Violently pumping himself up,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
trying to get himself to this mode. And that's where I
yeah,
start to worry because I'm like, that's not really Rob. That's like
yeah,
anytime Rob knows that he's fighting an opponent that he feels might be stronger than him, he
yeah,
he tries to like get himself to a different place.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's where I noticed, oh look, Rob looks a bit nervous here, just like he did against
You're right,
Dricus.
man. I
And I
feel
think
like
there's
you're on
one
the
thing in
point, bro.
common with these two, that they're naturally bigger than him. Like
Yeah,
we noticed the weight cut. Hamzat struggles so much with that weight cut.
yeah,
He's just a bigger guy. Like
bigger guy.
by the time the fight's about to start, after after putting back on the weight,
Yeah,
I feel like he's probably 20, 25, 30 pounds
yeah.
heavier. And
Definitely
that's a
200
lot.
plus. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you
Man,
think?
you're spot on. You're spot on. I think what you mentioned. I was thinking of that the whole time. I just forgot about it until now. I was surprised because I'd never seen both of them together. I thought Rob was bigger. And when that first face-off happened, I was surprised at how big Hamza was. And I was thinking, how did this guy make 170? I mean, I know he missed weight a lot when he was making 170, but there was times when he did make it. Like with the Gilbert fight, he did make 170, I'm pretty sure. And it was just pretty crazy to think. And now he's like even struggling to do 18, make weight at 185. And I mean, look, man, like I think in one of the interviews with Brad Okamoto, he sort of opens up about some of the personal stuff he's going through, and like that just adds to it, man. Like to be able to go through all that and see, with his son, obviously, hope everything goes well there, and yeah, to see him still be able to come in and dominate, it shows the skill set, the drive, and the ability of this guy. I think he is a champion in the making. He's already a star. I think he's an exciting matchup for anyone, man. Like, give him anyone. Like, I'm excited to see him with anyone. Him and Izzy, let's go. If they're not for the title, but I do feel the UFC is not gonna fumble this opportunity. They did with the Gilbert Burns. If once he beat Gilbert Burns, they should have gone for that title fight, which didn't happen, and then they sort of missed out on that. But now, yeah, like they have the perfect opportunity. The champ is free. The champ is calling for a fight early next year. So I think, yeah, and they're trying to get South Africa done. So yeah, I feel like it'll happen, and I'm putting my money on the Hamza Chimaev versus Dricus fight as opposed to Dricus versus Strickland, because even Dana said, "Look,
Yeah.
yeah, this changes things." He
Yeah.
didn't just go and like get a decision win over Rob Whittaker. He just finished Rob Whittaker. No one's done that.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? What I'm saying is not no one's done that, but obviously Dricus has done it, Izzy's done it, but you know what I mean, right? Like with that level of dominance, no adversity whatsoever.
Yeah, and if you're the UFC, one reason to all this mayhem is you want to keep Hamzat active. We know
Yeah,
once he's inactive and the health concern, you want to capitalize while he's
yeah,
able and he's ready to go. DJ, but yeah,
yeah,
look, I agree with you. I think next year we'll see him, if health permitting, he'll be a champion very
yeah,
soon. But I'm also going to make another prediction that I feel like Hamzat at some point in his career will be a two division champion because
205.
as yeah, as you were just talking about weight, I could
Yep,
easily see him go to light heavyweight, in,
yeah,
in the future. That's
yeah,
that's going to be so easy for him to put on that weight. He's tall, he's long, he's got
yeah,
big reach. He could he
yeah.
could bulk up even more and just be a menace against, your Rakic's, your anyone's, What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Not very many times do I disagree with you, and I'm not gonna do it now. I agree 100%. I think he's got the skills, he's got the size. Man, I just want to see him get a championship first. Like I was always like a fan. I like his work, but now I'm like a massive fan. Comes at the cost of seeing one of our beloved fighters go down, but man, like but it also is like sort of the changing of guard in a way, like the even in the main event, that's what we're seeing, like the newer generation of fighters taking it on, and same here, like the new guys are coming in. There's so many new names up there now. In the middleweight division used to be Israel Adesanya, Rob Whittaker, and then the rest of them. That's what it always was. Now it's
Yeah,
Hamza Chimaev. You got in Imavov, you've got Kyle Barayo, you've got all these people who are just popping up and putting their hand up and saying, "Hey, I'm here. Let's go." Shara Magamadov, who had the first, who opened the main card, had that crazy double spinning back fist. Man, that guy's a madman, and he had that. So that was a good fight. He's another up and coming in that middleweight division. He had a crazy call out of Israel Adesanya, but so there's so much excitement and movement now in that middleweight division,
Yeah.
which used to be somewhat stagnant.
Hey, well, I got a question for you though. Hey,
Yeah, go for it.
not to be sound like a Debbie Downer about anything, but does the UFC have a wrestling problem now, where it's just dominated by wrestlers? Because one example is let's say Hamzat was 205 right now, and he was fighting Alex.
Yeah.
Has Alex Pereira ever fought a guy that could wrestle him like a guy like Hamzat could?
Or he might be after this after the third fight in the main card. But hey, no, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. But there's two types of I think, man, wrestling is part of the sport. It's part of the game. It's mixed martial arts, and if you see some of the most dominant fighters, they have a strong wrestling background. I don't think the UFC or any of the fans are against that. There's certain wrestling styles that are probably not as fan friendly. Obviously, yes, it is entertainment as well. It is sports entertainment. So we don't, us fans don't just want to, see fights take place with no excitement in it too. Khabib is a perfect example, man. He had it. Everyone knew what he was going to do. He did exactly that. No one was able to stop him. But it was all exciting, man. There was never a boring fight of Khabib. You can go back all the way back. There's never a boring fight. Khabib always is an exciting fight. So and then the UFC loved him. He was a superstar, right? So Hamzat, another perfect example. While his style is wrestling heavy, he's extremely exciting to watch. It's an aggressive style of wrestling, and I think an example of the other side could have been Bilal Muhammad, but even then, I feel has evolved since getting involved with Khabib and that camp. Like his fights are a lot different. I thought the Bilal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns fight was quite an exciting fight, and even the Leon Edwards fight, there wasn't any sort of like Sometimes you get taken down, and then the opponent just stays on top of you and just lets the time go. That's no more the case, right? Um, so even Marab's a champ at the moment, and then he's obviously wrestling. We know what he does, but yeah, even then he's very active. They don't just sit there and just hope for things. For example, the guy Batista who fought Aldo when he was just holding him against the cage. There's no action there. Then that's sort of not exciting. Do you get what I mean? Like, so it just I guess depends on the style of fighting. Could be a wrestling heavy style, but how do you
Yeah,
employ that?
yeah,
I don't think we'll ever have that problem with Hamzat Chimaev because this guy likes to fight, man. Like he likes to fight. He just sprints out of the gates to the octagon. He doesn't even walk. He just wants to get in there and fight, and that's sort of his mentality. And yeah, like just and it's a uh, it's a I I wouldn't say a problem at all for the UFC. I think if anything, they just probably want him to get the title because there's such a big region he unlocks. They have Islam. Oh, there's another one example. Islam is a wrestling heavy champ as well. Most of the champs at the moment, I just realized that Alex Pereira, how to wrestle. Even John Jones is a wrestling background. Yeah, look, Islam Makhachev, show us a boring fight of Islam Makhachev. You can't find it. Like yes, he takes you down, but they're constantly looking for finishes. That's what is exciting about it. I mean, that Dustin Poirier Islam Makhachev fight was one of the best that I've ever seen. Islam was in danger too, but then he finds a way to finish. He finishes you, he submits you, he drowns you. They don't just take you down and just keep like they do hold you, but they're constantly working, and that's exciting. I find that exciting. So yeah, I don't think there is that problem.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, great answer. I think yeah, I could see where you're coming from. I think yeah, like you said, once they're aiming to finish and there's still that excitement levels, especially for guys like a Chimaev, But I've seen that question floated around, and I guess it's
yeah,
all around marketability,
yeah.
striking. But look, we've still got Topuria. Connor
Hmm.
might
Yes.
return, one day, although we're not holding our
Yeah.
breath here. But let's just recap the rest. What else stood out to you from this big event?
Man, The third fight, I think that was a good fight too. Ankalaev versus Rakic. Good, good. I didn't think Ankalaev needed to fight one more time to validate his number one spot, but he did, which itself speaks volumes. And I was expecting him to win. I thought he was going to have an easy win, but that first round was a bit rocky. I thought Rakic took that round, but then yeah, it was Rakic's game plan was a bit confusing after that first round, and some of the corner advice too. But yeah, man, Ankalaev came in strong second and third round. He didn't. He made a promise to not shoot a takedown, and he didn't. He's an extremely good wrestler, but he didn't. And this shows his skill set on the feet and his confidence. He is the toughest matchup for Alex Pereira at the moment because he's good on the feet, but he's also extremely dangerous on the ground. So like how what you know, yeah, what's it'll be a good matchup. And I'm excited to see that next. That's the next clarity. Like that is now definitely going to be the case as per Dana White. So we're gonna see some bangers next year, man. We had the Laurent Murphy. So there was six undefeated fighters in this card, if I'm not mistaken, and five of them retained their all. And four of those undefeated fighters were in the main card. How crazy is that? That's how good this card was. Magomed Ankalaev defeats him, and then Laurent Murphy, Dan Ige, your man, 50k Ige. Good fight, man. Close fight. Yeah, again, same thing. Dan Ige started strong, but I felt Laurent Murphy finished it very well, adjusted and did what he had to do and got that win. And then the crazy opener for the main card against Shara Magomedov and Armen Troisen. Man, that back fist is crazy. I think he did it in the open workout. He's an extremely interesting character. Again, another exciting guy. The who just loves to fight. He just loves to fight, and then given the circumstances, man, his eye injury and everything, he just this doesn't stop him. He's just in there throwing. So yeah, I think Dana White's excited about it. We're all excited about him. We're all excited to see what's next. I know he called Israel Adesanya, but I don't know if that'll come to fruition. And then we all have the prelim card, man. Like either Ibor Aslan, the Turkish fighter. I think the first Turkish fighter in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken, from Turkey. He took the O off the other Brazilian, Rafael. Relentless, man. It was relentless pressure, and then the finishing sequence. We had RDA, the legend, blow his knee out on his 40th birthday against the crowd friendly Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal was doing well anyway up until that point. So yeah, we had Abbas Magomedov get a submission. The fight of the night, man, that was crazy. The Rebecca was oral by. That was a crazy back and forth, rightfully, a fight of the night. Yeah, so like pretty good. Oh, let me say this though, right? Because I was up when the first fight started because I had some stuff to do, so I was up. So I just watched the first fight. It was an atrocious decision, I might say. It was between Renat Facatadino versus Carlos Leal, who was debuting because he was signed up to fight the guy because his opponent dropped out. Ruzi Boyev dropped out, and this guy was coming from a different organization. Signed up to the UFC and debuted. I felt what I think the commentary team did too. Everyone did. The comments were obvious even on social media. It was just a very ridiculous decision. But again, nonetheless, can't blame the fighters because their job is to go in there and fight. It's just the judges and the judging. But yeah, man, overall, pretty solid card. Enjoyed it. You obviously missed most of the prelims because of what time it was in Melbourne. Was able to catch like the last three fights, the prelims, and then going straight into the main card. So yeah, early day for us, but it was well worth it. What did you think?
Definitely, and that was my next question, DJ. We're going to give our grades for
Oh,
this card, and then obviously we've got a big one to look forward to. MSG, you know me,
oh,
it's
man.
big circle on my
MSG.
calendar. Big
Yep,
circle.
that's
Stipe,
your favorite.
John Jones. Please don't do anything silly in the next few weeks. Right, just lighten up on the sparring, just so
Yep,
we can get this legendary matchup for the OGs. Yes, they're not in their
I can.
prime, but no, this card, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of
Wow.
10,
Okay.
man. Eventful.
Oh,
What do you think?
Man, I mean, the Abu Dhabi card is always my MSG for you. Like always, a guy always. I know the MSG is big for you, and for me, like the Abu Dhabi one's big because every time they're like pretty good cards. And like you know me, right? Like it just doesn't has just because it's good on paper doesn't mean it's going to be good when it plays out. This card played out really well too. I'm actually going to give it a 9. I'm giving it a 9 out of.
Oh,
I'm going to
nice,
give it a 9 out of 10. It had
nice.
everything, man. Drama, emotion, skills, heartbreak, superstars coming out of it, man, like you name it. Brilliant card, enjoyed it, great matchups. Yeah, like, and to be honest, I mean, you might not like me for saying this, but looking at the 309 card, is some good fights, but not as stacked top to bottom as the 308, if I might say. If I might add, to be honest, yeah, like I think they're still fleshing out the card because there's only 3 in the prelims.
Well,
Um,
let's revisit that. Let's talk after the MSG and see if you've changed your tune. What if we get a 5 round banger from Stipe and John Jones? Your
Fight of the
legacy's on
year.
the line.
Fight of the year.
But actually,
Nah, I
no,
mean,
you've talked me into changing my score. But
oh,
for this reason, the Volkanovski little interaction at the end, and
oh,
the fact that we confirm that Volkanovski is going to get next, that boosts it to an 8.5 for me.
oh. Man, like in my so would you say so far from all the cards you've seen, this is the best card so far?
What from the year?
Yeah.
This card for the year. Ooh, you're stretching my memory now. Look,
Well,
it'd
let me.
be top three.
Yeah, like I mean, the first one was the Canada one, Strickland Duplessis. Then we had Volk Topuria. That was a fun card with Cormain being Whittaker and Costa. Then we also had Sahura. That was a stack card. That was a good card. I remember.
Yeah,
Then we had the
Perth.
March
I
card.
like Perth.
Perth was good. Yeah, we had the March. I'm going. Let me see. March. What was March? It was O'Malley versus Aljamain, right? No, it was O'Malley versus Chito Vera. But that's where Dustin had for BSD, Benoit and Denis. So there was that. And then we had the April card. What was the April card? Now I just gotta go see it, man. I have to. Cannot not see it. UFC 297. What was that? So yeah, that was the first one. 297. We got 298, which was Volk. We got 299, which was another fun card. I like that too. Oh, how do you forget April? UFC 300. That was, in my opinion, the top card up until now. But now I just feel like I'm gonna give the 308 the nod. Maybe not. Maybe I'll sit on it. But yeah, UFC 300 was like top notch card. 301. Who was 301? 301 was the Islam card, right? No, 301 was the Rio card, which is Urseg. We had Urseg, Astro Boy Urseg, get introduced to the world. So yeah, it was a decent card, but the main event was good, but the card, no, not so much. 302 was Islam Dustin, and that was an okay card as well. The main event was really good. I remember saying the exact same thing when we did the recap. 303 was the Alex Pereira Giri card, the International Fight Week, where Dan Ige fought in 4 hours. Notice 304. What was 304? Oh, 304 was the London one, right? Yeah, that was a good card on paper, but there was some good fights, but probably not. Yeah, top notch. Then we had 305. That was the one you liked, Rickers versus Adesanya card. That was a good card. A lot of local talent and some good fights. 306, Sean O'Malley, Marab. That was the Sphere card. To be honest, it was a good card, but I didn't think it was one of the best. Like, it doesn't make my top 3, if you ask me. Um, and we're not talking about the graphics and the spectacle. It's just the fights itself. 307, Alex Pereira, Roundtree. Main event was good, but again, not like a star card. 308, that's my card. Abu Dhabi. Boom.
Well,
So
that's
yeah,
it.
that's it.
Definitely, man. Yeah, great card, and yeah, I
Yeah.
still got 300 as probably my best of
Favorite.
the year,
Yeah.
but I feel like the best is still yet to come. So we'll see.
Oh, three
Look, another
three or
year.
nine.
another year, no McGregor, no Conor McGregor this year,
I
but
mean,
we'll see. Hopefully, we get him and Hooker or something to make up for it. But
it's been
yeah,
it's been it's been 3 years
this one has
since
been
the
fun.
cup. Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, it's a good card, man. Good card and a fun episode.
Yeah, let's talk soon and recap and break or preview the big one, 309, and we'll then break it down with everyone. But yeah, give us a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well, and let us know in the comments section, guys.